Are you stuck in Egypt? And is the mindset of Egypt stuck in you? This is a concept that I want to talk to you about today, about holding on to Egypt. And this concept comes from the Old Testament, where God led Moses and the people out of Egypt, but the people were so in love with Egypt that they couldn't let Egypt go. What they had, what food they had, what kind of living situation they had, they were so stuck on it. And this caused the people to murmur, this caused the people to be displeased with God, and evidently this caused the people to walk the desert for 40 years. And the main cause of this was they loved Egypt too much. The issue with this is that this love of the past, or of what they once had, prevented them from getting the future blessings of the promised land. The promised land, which had things 10 times better than them being enslaved in Egypt. Can you believe that? They were slaves in Egypt and they were still stuck on that life. They were slaves, they were beaten, mistreated, but they still wanted that life back. That's how much we can become delusional as people. Sometimes we just get stuck in what we know, in the small pleasures of life, that we can't see the bigger picture. We can't see the bigger blessing that God has in store for us. Of course, it comes down to trust. Do you trust God? There's a better life, a bigger blessing around the corner than what you're currently living in. And this is not prosperity preaching. This is believing and trusting in God. Do you believe? Do you trust that God will take you out of this current situation and put you in a much better place than you could have ever imagined? I believe He does. I believe God has the capability of, and I believe God wants the best for you. The thing is, am I stuck on my current life? Am I stuck on my past life? Will I be willing to let it go to bring in a new life, to bring in new blessings, to bring in a new way of life? Because the promised land was way different than what the people, the nation of God, was used to. Unfortunately, 99% of them never got to see the promised land. They wandered the desert, for 40 years and got nowhere. They got nowhere because they wouldn't trust God, where they would only be displeased with their current situation. And they ended up just passing away in the desert after wandering. Those people never got to taste the blessings God had for them. They never got to see or feel or enjoy the fruits of the promised land. They were taken out of Egypt. They were freed from being slaves, but they never made it to the next blessing. All because of their own decisions. If you look at the map of the route from Egypt to the promised land, you would say, why didn't they make it? God had bigger plans for them. God had bigger plans for them. He wanted their hearts to change, and they didn't. And until they actually changed their hearts and their stance towards God, then they finally could see the promised land. I encourage you today, don't let the past, don't let the current novelties of life prevent you from seeing the bigger picture, prevent you from receiving God's blessings that are bigger. And yes, that period in the desert can be dry, can be tough, but without it, you'll never get to the promised land. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day.